Mr. Majid Memon of the Trinamool Congress is with us on the broadcast. Mr. Memon, we are now given to understand that the Law Commission of India is going to be submitting its final report on what really was concluded from the special panel headed by Ramnath Kovind on One Nation, One Poll. But when it comes to opposition parties, they have been critically absent from any kind of discussion and deliberation. Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was invited. He in fact said that this is a threat to the federal structure of the country. Now that we are going to have a report by tomorrow by the Law Commission, what are you expecting from it?
Now, let us understand that this issue of one nation, one election is a gigantic and complex issue. And Law Commission is a mere one source of giving some feedback with regard to its positive and negative side. Law Commission cannot be decisive. Law Commission will make some recommendations which are ultimately to also go through various other stakeholders, and it would only be thereafter that the government would be justified in coming out with a bill to the House, and then the Parliament will ultimately examine the plus and minus points of the issue. But let us understand that broadly speaking, India is such a vast, geographically, such a vast country. And it has different climates in different areas, different states. Secondly, the federal structure of the Indian state, Indian democracy, is of great importance. Now, it is most impracticable to have one election and then have 27 independent states having their own formation of government. Any government of the state may fall for want of one reason or the other. Political activities are there, or even the center may fall once. Now, let those who are propagating this idea answer my one query, that if the center falls, would you want to dissolve all the 27 states also and then have one election again for all the states duly elected, the mandate of the people who would go down to be put into dust? It is impracticable. This can't happen, because time and again we see that one state or the other falls for certain genuine political reasons. Either the parties break or the MLAs or MPs break, and then constitutionally, if the state loses, if the government loses majority, it can't continue to. Or you want to have president rule for 4 years or 4.5 years once the government falls in the state. This would be completely jeopardizing the idea of federalism, which is the backbone of Indian democratic system. So I'm afraid we are opposing it for various reasons which we have already incorporated as political parties.
Thank you, Mr. Memon, for joining us with your views. Let me also take this across to the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, Mr. O.P. Rawat, who's also with us on the broadcast. Mr. Rawat, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. I believe you have, heard some portions of what the opposition really has to say about not being part of the committee that was discussing the reasons and the way forward towards implementation of One Nation, One Poll. Now, what they are in fact suggesting, that the means to come up with a conclusion, it was guaranteed, and hence they decided not to be a part of that meeting that was headed by Mr. Ramnath Kovind. Is it that easy or simplified that the Law Commission can come up with a final report by tomorrow on something as vast a topic as One Nation, One Poll, sir?
First, the opposition parties not joining the committee, that is a political issue, and I would refrain from commenting on that.
Sure.
Second part is very simple, because this has been in works for last 8 years. 2015 it all started, and Election Commission suggested that yes, it would be feasible, and we would be ready once necessary amendments to the Constitution, to the RP Act, and necessary amount of money for buying additional EVMs and VVPATs are given, then they will be ready to deliver One Nation, One Poll. And also, Election Commission had suggested certain permutation combinations, like some house getting dissolved midday. What happens? So the suggestion was that if lot of tenure is available, then you should hold election for that particular house with the limited tenure up to the next cycle of election, so that it is remaining in synchronization.
Okay.
It doesn't go out of sync. But if very little time is left, say 6 months, 7 months, then you can either make do with the representative government if all parties agree, or go for president's rule. So those were the suggestions, and I think Niti Aayog and Law Commission worked on those suggestions extensively, and they also brought out a report by Law Commission and a paper by Niti Aayog. So all those things have been discussed in detail in those things. So I think with all that material, all that discussion having gone through, it should be possible for Law Commission to bring out a report tomorrow.
Mr. Rawat, but we are talking about a parliamentary democracy, and the detractors, of course, are of the view on this very point that you are mentioning, that simultaneous polls in the country are only possible if at all there is a presidential system, which is not there in India. So hence, when we go back to the question of practicality and implementation, even if you talk about these 8 years that have been given to the formulation of and taking in the suggestions to go about at least coming down with certain points on how to go about implementing one nation, one poll, how much in those 8 years do you think can be in fact weighed on as far as this particular issue is concerned, and how much of the other opinion, even if we put it out to vote, because I believe people's opinion have also been taken into consideration, will even be practical?
It will be practical. That has been the view of Law Commission, Election Commission, and even the Aayog.
Okay.
Yeah. Second thing is that presidential form of government is not necessary, because in our country with parliamentary form of government, we had one nation, one poll for 4 times, 52, 57, 62, 67, without any problem. So that is quite far-fetched. We can have, even with the parliamentary system of governance, protecting the federal structure of our polity, we can have this. There is absolutely no issue, and no worries for opposition also. Like if you see this point that national issues will overwhelm the state or local regional issues.
Okay.
2019 elections, if you see Parliament, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal, they went to the polls with Lok Sabha.
Okay.
And you see everywhere the assembly results were different, Lok Sabha results were very different. So our voter has matured enough to deliver different verdicts in the same polling station on the different EVMs. So we should be happy with that.
All right. Mr. O.P. Rawat, thank you so much for sharing in your views. Let me also now take this across to Mr. A. Sarvanan of the DMK, who is with us on the broadcast. Also with us is Mr. Kovai Satyan of the AIADMK. Mr. Sarvanan, I'll come to you first. I was just speaking to a former Chief Election Commissioner. He's saying that this entire issue of one nation, one poll has been in the works for over 8 years now. Since 2015, this issue was being discussed, and there is a practical solution to it. The Law Commission believes it, the government believes it, the Election Commission believes it. What do the opposition parties have to say about it?
See, the one nation, one election is again a jumla by the BJP. They are not doing anything for the good of the common man. They have failed on all fronts. This is just headline management. I don't know, they should do away with their obsession with this oneness. The problem is this: the Election Commission is not even able to conduct elections in a single phase for a state election. West Bengal 7 phases, Karnataka 2 phases. This is the sorry state of affairs. And here they are coming and preaching that we are going to conduct elections across the country. How is it humanly possible? You are not even able to conduct a state election with a single phase, in a single phase. And you want to conduct the entire election for both the state assemblies and the union assemblies in a single phase. How much of capital expenditure it will involve? Why should we do that now? And do we have enough officers to conduct polls simultaneously? Do we have enough security to have the polling on the same day? It's not possible. This is just to divert the attention. They want to do away with the resources. They know they're going to lose 2024. NDA,
Okay.
the BJP is pretty well knows that it's going to lose 2024. So they're trying to do something and ensure that they get something
Okay.
out of it. They're trying every trick in the book and nothing is going to work for them.
Okay. All right, Mr. Saravanan, thank you so much for sharing your views. Mr. Kovai Satyan is also with us. Mr. Satyan, would you agree to what Mr. Saravanan has said? These are diversionary tactics by the Bharatiya Janata Party. The AIADMK has not been able to see, one when it comes to an alliance with the BJP in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now the BJP comes up with one nation, one poll. We are given to understand that the Law Commission is coming out with a final report tomorrow. Do you agree with the implementation, in fact, which way this entire issue is really moving by the Bharatiya Janata Party, or would you also end up calling this a poll gimmick?
It's too early to comment what the standpoint is. Our leader's earlier standpoint is we support one nation, one election. But there are two dynamics to it. One is with the physical infrastructure of conducting such an event, and the second is the judicial point of view. There needs to be some amendment with respect to 4 laws to conduct one nation, one policy. So let's wait for the Commissioner's final report. If the final report is convincing to all the party members as well as to the people of India, I don't see there is any stumbling block to take it forward.
Okay. All right, Mr.
So we
Satyan.
certainly can't answer at this moment with assumptions of data what we have in hand.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing.